Hey everybody, Ben Dorr here, Executive Director for Minnesota Gun Rights. And before this video is done, if you're a gun rights supporter, if you are a Second Amendment supporter, patriot like us, you're going to know all the facts about your August 9th Republican primary. You have a three-way primary in Senate District 10. You're going to want to know where these candidates stand on your right to keep and bear arms, and we're going to tell it all to you right now. All right, so kicking this off at Minnesota Gun Rights, our job at election time is to send out candidate surveys, which we did to Steve Wenzel, Nathan Wiesenberg, and Jim Newberger. And based on the answers from those candidate surveys, and if they're incumbents or if they have been in office before, we compile all the information you need to know about where they stand and what their positions are on Second Amendment, the big issues: constitutional carry, stand your ground, red flag laws, statewide gun registration, the whole gambit. And so we have those details for you. We're going to kick this right off. We'll go right here in the middle. We have Nathan Wiesenberg. So we sent him a candidate survey, and each survey has 10 questions on it, but we're not going to highlight all 10. I don't want this video to last forever. So we're going to highlight 5, and we'll give you the rest after. So the first thing we have is red flag gun confiscations. We asked Mr. Wiesenberg where he stands on red flag laws. As we know, red flag laws are unconstitutional, and they take away people's due process rights. They take away people's firearms without there ever being a charge, being arrested, indicted, convicted, nothing. It's totally unconstitutional. It's a gun grab, and virtually anybody can make that happen. So we asked him, where do you stand on that? Will you vote yes or no? He said he'll be an absolute no vote on red flag gun confiscation laws. So we gave Nathan Wiesenberg a green check mark. We like that. The next one was stand your ground law. There's a lot of politicians that have been flapping their gums about these pro-gun bills for a long time up in St. Paul. Very few have ever actually followed through and fought for these things. He said he's 100% in support of stand your ground law, that a person should have the right to defend themselves if they're attacked in a public place. 36, 7, 8 states now, 38 states I think, now have stand your ground law. Minnesota should be the next one, and Nathan Wiesenberg has promised to fight for those issues. The next one is constitutional carry. It simply says that if you're legal to own a firearm, you can carry that firearm without having to get permission or get a permit from the government. We think this is fantastic legislation. It's passing all across the country. It just passed in Georgia, it passed in Alabama, it passed in Ohio, it passed in Indiana, all within the last 12 months. And I think I'm missing a couple of states to boot. Just the other day, we saw a hero, a great guy with last name Elisha Dicken was his name, in Indiana, was constitutional carrying inside a mall, and somebody came in, wanted to shoot up the food court, and Mr. Dicken pulled out his firearm, pulled out his pistol, and killed the guy who was opening fire on innocent people, and it was fantastic. It was very well done, and he was doing it because he was constitutional carrying that firearm. So Mr. Wiesenberg, Nathan Wiesenberg, has promised to not only, in the same with stand your ground law, not just support the legislation. There's a lot of politicians who are just, I support it, It's like, well, do you support it, or are you willing to fight for it? Now, Nathan Wiesenberg has promised to be the lead sponsor on Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry if he makes it into the Senate in Senate District 10. So he will sponsor the bill. He's not just going to flap his gums about it. And then we have the assault weapons ban. They call it an assault weapons ban. It's anything but. This legislation that's happening in Congress right now, we're all watching it. It doesn't just ban so-called assault weapons. They want you to think, oh, it's an AR-15 ban. It's not. It bans all the AR-15s, AR-10s. It bans a whole host of semi-automatic pistols, shotguns, deer rifles. They threw everything in the kitchen sink into their so-called assault weapons ban. And that's what they want to pass. He said, no, absolutely not. No, under no circumstances whatsoever. And then the last question that we're going to highlight right here, right now, is statewide gun registration, right? They call it universal background checks. It's not, it's gun registration by default. This has been a big push from Senator Ron Latz. He's a radical communist from St. Louis Park. Same for red flag laws. So these are the two issues that the Democrats and some rhinos keep pushing all across the country. And he said, Nathan Wiesenberg said he would be an absolute no vote on statewide gun registration. Again, he's not just going to vote no, he said he's going to fight to oppose it. And when it comes to these pro-gun bills, he's promised to do something that nobody has done since 2015. And Nathan Wiesenberg, he's fed up with the fact that Republicans in the Senate refuse to actually hold votes on pro-gun bills like Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry. So he has promised to force those votes, make them happen on behalf of Minnesotans and his constituents. So very strong survey, very strong response from Nathan Wiesenberg. The next one we're going to highlight is will be Jim Newberger here, but we want to go over Steve Wenzel very quickly here. Now, Steve also sent in a survey filled out correctly. I'm not sure how much of a campaign he's running. I'm not seeing much. It seems clear to me he did fill it all out 100%, so that was good from Steve, but it's looking like, based on the news stories and everything else that's coming out of there, this may come down to a battle between Jim Newberger and Nathan Wiesenberg on where these candidates stand on these issues. So a thank you to Steve Wenzel, who filled out his survey, 100% pro-gun as well. Very, very cool. And so here we have Jim Newberger. Now this is new information, right? So we have pro-gun, and now we have Jim Newberger. Now, Jim Newberger was a former state representative. He failed in a Senate race a while back, and now he wants to be a senator. He likes politics. He likes being a politician, and he wants to be a politician again in Senate District 10 as a senator. Now, he refused to fill out his Minnesota gun rights candidate survey, and which is very troubling, and for a multitude of reasons. First of all, on the policy issues, very quickly, red flag laws. We saw rhino Republicans in the United States Senate give $750 million in funding to bribe states like Minnesota into passing unconstitutional red flag gun confiscation laws. So rhinos support red flag laws, Democrats support red flag laws, and so what would happen if red flags made it onto the Senate floor if Jim Newberger is senator? Again, rhinos are supporting this stuff. Will he vote for it or against it? He won't say. Next, on Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry. Again, as a state representative, I'm sure he co-sponsored a bunch of pro-gun bills. Everybody does, quite frankly. If you're a Republican, you're always signing your name onto bills so you can tell voters, well, sure, I'm pro-gun. I'm a co-sponsor, co-author on this bill and that bill. But did he ever fight to get votes on Stand Your Ground or constitutional carry? Did he ever fight to put those on the House floor for a vote? The answer to that question is no. He never did. He never fought for Stand Your Ground or constitutional carry. So perhaps he'll say, oh, I support them. I'm 100% pro-gun. I'm all of these things. But when you had your chance in the House, you didn't lift a finger to actually get those bills votes. Okay? So Stand Your Ground and constitutional, again, he won't fill out his survey to let people know where he stands now. It's been a long time since he was in office. The assault weapons ban. It should be the easiest thing for a pro-gun legislator to say, oh yes, I 100% support Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry, and I will fight to pass those things. When it comes to an assault weapons ban, it's kind of the same story. If you're a pro-gun legislator or a pro-gun candidate, this is the easiest thing in the world to say, I absolutely oppose. And I'll put my name on paper and tell you that. But we got no answer out of Jim Newberger. Not a word on the assault weapons ban. That's not a good sign. And then when we have statewide gun registration, same story as red flag laws. Bad politicians, Republicans, rhinos, and Democrats support statewide gun registration. We've had Republicans in the Senate co-sponsoring statewide gun registration in the past. Okay, so is Jim Newberger going to be one of those people, or is he going to actively fight on behalf of gun owners and shut this down? We don't have an answer to that question because he refused to fill out his Minnesota gun rights questionnaire. So you ask yourself, well, this is a Republican primary, Ben. You already have a phenomenal response from Nathan Wiesenberg. Steve Wenzel filled out his candidate survey as well. Why would Jim Newberger do this? And I think that it's kind of ideological. In 2015, Jim Newberger joined with some Democrats and some rhinos and penned an open letter attacking Minnesota gun rights members and supporters who, at the time, were fighting against statewide gun registration that Ron Latz was pushing in the Democrat-controlled Senate. So at that time, we were doing everything possible to stop gun control being pushed by Democrats, and Jim Newberger signs his name on a letter attacking our members and supporters, gun owners, tens of thousands of gun owners from all across the state of Minnesota. So that goes back to 2015, and now it's 2022. It's been a lot of years between then and now, and he's not coming out in support of the Second Amendment. He won't sign his Minnesota gun rights candidate questionnaire. Newberger, again, has a long history of flapping his gums when it comes to Second Amendment issues. He's a big talker. I know when he was in the House, he told everybody how pro-gun he was. But again, no votes on any pro-gun bills like Stand Your Ground and constitutional carry. No major opposition, no voice for gun owners saying hell no on this and yes on that. None of those things happened when he was in the House, and now he wants to be in the Senate. So, a couple of things very quickly. If you see any of these, if you see Steve Wenzel, if you see Nathan Wiesenberg out on the campaign trail, thank them for filling out their Minnesota gun rights candidate survey. Thank Nathan Wiesenberg for vocally telling gun owners that he will force votes on these bills. That's not something that Steve has ever promised. And when it comes to Steve Wenzel, just a couple of things of note, something worth knowing here at the end is if you look on your screen right now, you'll see some different pictures of him with Paul Ryan, with George W. Bush, with a whole bunch of what we would consider to be the biggest rhinos around. Bunch of rhinos. They don't fight for the people. They never fought for the people. They fought for themselves. And Steve Wenzel really likes to hobnob with that class of people. It's disconcerting to say the least. So thanks Steve for his candidate survey. Maybe you could tell him that he shouldn't hang out with so many never Trumper, anti-Trump, anti-American rhinos. Thank Nathan Wiesenberg for being very staunchly in support of the Second Amendment and filling out his candidate survey and making additional promises to force votes, which has been the biggest problem we've had in the Senate for all of these years. To be totally honest with you, we've had Republican control of the Senate for 6 years in a row. 6 years, and there's not been a single pro-gun bill has made it on the Senate floor for a vote because there's not a single Republican in the Senate who's willing to stand up and actually do the thing that they promised to do for gun owners. And that's the truth. And that has been the biggest frustration of gun owners towards the politicians in the Minnesota Senate is they don't push these things. So thank Nathan Wiesenberg for filling out his survey, 100% pro-gun. And if you see Jim Newberger, tell him to apologize. First of all, if you're a member, if you're a supporter of Minnesota gun rights, if you're a Second Amendment supporter, he should apologize to you for attacking you in his letter, for not fighting for gun owners, and then at large he should apologize for not fighting to really advance stand your ground or constitutional carry when we had the votes in the House to get them passed. Didn't fight to get these things passed for gun owners. He should apologize for that. He should apologize for being weak and lazy on the Second Amendment, for not fighting hard against the left's agenda. Because, again, it's more than just a yes or no vote. It's all about your presence in the Capitol and what you're doing, fighting forward on behalf of gun owners, opposing the radical left and their push to destroy our country. And when it comes to Jim Newberger and his time in the Minnesota House, he gets a bunch of red X's because he did not perform and refuses to perform and refuses to fill out his Minnesota gun rights candidate survey. So I'm going to end this video right here, guys. Share this with everybody you know in Senate District 10. Make sure they know where these candidates stand on gun rights issues. And when you're done, I hope you go out on August 9th, and I hope you vote pro-gun.